story time about my crazy roommate and her wacky ass boyfriend. Disclaimer, this is not my story. It was sent to me on Instagram. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so I started posting an ad because I had recently started renting an apartment, and this girl, 22 female, let's call her Amalia, she responded to the ad and was like, hey, I've been looking for a rent buddy, and can I come by and see what it's like? And so she comes by, and we hit it off. Everything's great. And so I let her move in. So we get all that done, and she's moved in, and it's amazing. She's like really to herself. She's not invasive. We have like this line of respect for each other. And I buy my stuff, she buys her stuff, and we stick to that. Like, we go half on the rent. Everything's perfect. So basically, I'm really enjoying my time with this girl. Like, she seems amazing. I really stroke lucky with the roommate situation. And then about 2 weeks of us like rooming and stuff, she gets a boyfriend, and she's like mad obsessed with this man, like mad obsessed. And she talks about him, and I'm like, this guy seems super cool. And she's like, oh my gosh, he is. And then she's like, oh my gosh, can I invite him over? And I'm like, girl, of course, I'd love to meet him. And so he comes over, and we're all three hanging out. It's super fun, and we're playing games and stuff, like board games, and it's awesome. Like, it's really fun. And halfway through the night, this man like starts getting like phone calls and a bunch of texts, and he like takes them and has to walk out of the room, and then like he's constantly going to the bathroom, and then like sometimes you could even hear a female's voice on his phone talking to him on a call. And so me noticing this, after he left, I talked to this girl, and I was like, Amala, like this man, he's like kind of sus. Like, he seems not honest. And she's like shrugging it off, like, what are you talking about? Nah, like, my man's amazing. And I'm super skeptical, so I just warned her about that. Okay, like for part 2, story time of my crazy roommate and her wacky ass boyfriend. Okay, so like I said, I tell this girl, like, this guy's sus, like, he's not honest, and she's shrugging it off. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go to bed, and I hear her, because the walls are super thin, so I hear her talking to this man on a phone call. And I'm like, okay, they're talking, still skeptical about him, but it's whatever. I'm gonna leave her to it, I guess. And I hear them kind of bickering, and my name gets brought up several times. And I'm like, hold up, are they talking about me? Because, like, hold up. So I'm hearing my name several times, and I am really weirded out. But I'm just like, you know what? It's probably nothing. They're probably just talking about what happened tonight, like the fun times and stuff. So I left it alone. So now it's morning, and it's rent day. So I go up to her, and I'm like, Amalia, like, what you got? It's rent day. And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't pay for rent day. Like, I bought dinner for me and my boyfriend the other day. And I was like, girl, what? And she's like, yeah, like, he doesn't believe in, like, women, like, being paid for. So he says whenever we go on dates to, like, restaurants, I gotta pay for us both. Isn't he, like, such a gentleman? And I'm like, girl, how is that being a gentleman? She's like, well, I mean, it's, like, the kind of opposite of being a gentleman. It's like, but in, like, a nice way. And I'm just shocked. Like, she's telling me the story of, like, why it's gentleman-like to do that. And I'm just, girl, I don't believe a single word you're saying. And I tell her, this guy seems wacky. Like, I don't trust him, and I don't think you should either. And she's just not listening to me. She's like, girl, you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about him. Stop acting like you know us. And I'm like, oh, okay, so we're getting mad now? Listen, this is my business, because this guy is making it to where you cannot pay rent. And that was the one thing we agreed on. So I will cover the rent for this month, but next month you got to do rent with me. She was like, thank you so much. I'm sorry. So I'm like, okay, this bitch is kind of getting on my nerves now. And, like, I'm mad because this guy, he seems no good. So I'm just, it's whatever. We're going to ignore it, okay? Like for part 3. Part 3 of my crazy roommate and her wacky ass boyfriend. Disclaimer again, this is not my story. It was sent to me on Instagram. So like I said, this bitch doesn't pay rent because she spent it on her boyfriend because he doesn't believe in paying for girls. So yeah, it's the next day and we've kind of distanced. Like, we've never had an actual fight. That was our first one. And so we're just like kind of distancing. We're just like, obviously we're still like rooming and stuff and like everything's fine, but like we're just a little distant now. And her boyfriend starts coming over regularly and he seems like really weird. Like he just seems like every time he comes over he's talking on the phone. He's just like, it just doesn't feel like he's being very honest. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna leave this to her because clearly she doesn't want my advice. So I learned to get over it. I learned to ignore him while he's over. Couple weeks go by and this girl is like telling me this. She's like, I don't know if my boyfriend's honest. Like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, girl. She's like, I just want to do like a little test. Can you do that for me? And reluctantly, I agree because I want to catch this cheater. So she comes up with the plan that I'll like call him and ask him to Netflix and chill with me and like tell him that like she won't be there. And so I'm reluctantly agree and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And so I call him up and at first he doesn't pick up, but then I try again and he picks up and he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, hey, like Amalia's not here today and I was just wondering if like you wanted to come over and like Netflix and chill with me. And he's like, and you said she's not there? And I was like, yeah, nah, she's not here. And he was like, and she doesn't need to know. I'm like, nah, she doesn't need to know. And he's like, okay, I'll be over real quick. Like for part 4. Okay, part 4 of my crazy roommate and her wacky ass boyfriend. Disclaimer, this was not my story. It was sent to me on Instagram. So like I said, Amalia says to call up her boyfriend and ask to Netflix and chill as like a little cheat test. He says okay and he's on his way. Now at this time, Amalia is like really sad, but she takes her anger and her sadness out on me. And she's like, girl, I knew you wanted my boyfriend. And I'm like, what? And so then she accuses me of like wanting her boyfriend from the start. And that's why I was like telling her that she should leave him. And I was like, girl, need I remind you that this was your idea? And she's like, nah, like I know you like him. I know you like him. I know you want him. And I'm like, girl. And so then she like literally hits me. Like she's smacking me. She's pulling my hair and like literally assaulting me. Her boyfriend shows up and he's like freaking out. He's like, girl, what? I thought you said she wasn't here. I thought you said she wasn't here. And I'm literally being like smacked and punched by this bitch. And so like I have these idiots freaking out at me and I'm just like shocked. So I smack this bitch off me and I get up to call the police because I was legit assaulted. And I call the police while he's calming her down. And like she's hitting him and like just literally having like a breakdown. She is like insane. Like she needs to go to a mental institution. But like the police show up after I call them and like take her away and like everything, she's gone. And it's just me and this guy left over in this house or in this apartment. And he's like, so you still want Netflix and chill? Or like, and I am shocked. I'm like, boy, like, nah, it was just a test. First of all, you failed. And second of all, I don't want to Netflix and chill with you. You're dishonest and you're crazy. And so, yeah, after that, I stopped rooming with her. Like, I wasn't going to room with her anymore, obviously. Like, I wasn't dealing with that anymore. And I blocked her. I blocked her boyfriend. And I got an amazing roommate and so far we've had no troubles. So yeah, that's the story of my crazy roommate. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe. Love you all. Bye.